A man finds dating apps on his girlfriend's phone. Her response, "You shouldn't have been looking." He discovers she's been texting her ex. Her response, "You're being controlling." He catches her in a lie. Her response, "Why don't you trust me?" This isn't gaslighting anymore. It's standard operating procedure. Let me show you what entitlement looks like in 2025, where accountability is dead and every confrontation becomes an Olympic-level mental gymnastics routine. The accountability avoidance when caught is absolutely breathtaking. I had a client whose girlfriend was literally in bed with another man when he came home early. You know what she said? "This isn't what it looks like." "Then you drove me to this." "Then if you paid more attention to me, then you're traumatizing me by yelling." Within 5 minutes, she went from caught cheating to being the victim of his emotional abuse for being upset about it. The pattern is always the same. Get caught doing something wrong. Immediately flip the script. "Yes, I lied, but you made me feel like I had to." "Yes, I cheated, but you weren't meeting my emotional needs." "Yes, I stole from you, but money shouldn't matter in love." The mental gymnastics required to avoid saying I was wrong could win gold medals. Using institutions as weapons has become the go-to strategy. The moment a relationship conflict arises, suddenly there's threats of restraining orders, custody battles, false accusations. One client's ex called the police because he changed his Netflix password after they broke up. She claimed it was financial abuse because she was dependent on his streaming services. The cops actually showed up. The legal system weaponization is terrifying. These individuals know that one phone call claiming they feel unsafe can destroy a man's life. No evidence needed, no proof required. The accusation itself is the weapon. I've seen men lose their jobs, their homes, their children based on nothing but vindictive claims from someone who got caught cheating. The double standards in relationships are so normalized that pointing them out makes you the bad guy. She can have male friends, but female. Friends for him are suspicious. She can keep her phone private, but his privacy is secretive. She can comment on attractive men, but him noticing other women is disrespectful. The rules apply to you, not to her. I counseled a couple where she had Tinder just to see who's out there, but went nuclear when she found he'd liked a female coworker's vacation photo on Instagram. In her mind, her active dating profile was harmless fun, but his double tap on a photo was emotional cheating. The cognitive dissonance was so strong, she genuinely couldn't see the hypocrisy. The emotional manipulation as control is sophisticated now. Everything becomes an emotional betrayal. You fill out a form at the doctor's office and list yourself as single because you're not married. You denied our relationship. You don't post about her on social media. You're ashamed of me. You need time alone. You're abandoning me. Every normal action gets reframed as emotional violence. A client's girlfriend found his emergency contact form from 2 years ago before they met that listed his mother. She called this proof he never really loved her. He hadn't updated a form from before they met, and this became a 3-day fight about his lack of commitment. The manipulation of mundane facts into emotional weapons is masterful. The entitlement to privilege without reciprocity is staggering. They want the boyfriend privileges, attention, time, resources, loyalty, while maintaining single behavior. They expect commitment while keeping their options open. They demand transparency while being secretive. They want traditional provision with modern independence. It's not a relationship. It's an a la carte menu where they pick only what benefits them. The victimhood performance when caught red-handed deserves an Oscar. Phone full of flirty texts with other men. You violated my privacy. Dating profile active. I forgot to delete it. Caught in an obvious lie. You're attacking me. The speed at which they transform from perpetrator to victim would break physics laws if it were physical movement. Using outrage to distract from their behavior is textbook. Now you confront them about something serious, and suddenly you're fighting about how you loaded the dishwasher wrong 3 weeks ago. You bring up their lie. And now it's about that time you forgot their cousin's birthday. The original issue gets buried under manufactured outrage about irrelevant things. I watched this happen in real time with a couple in counseling. He brought up her emotional affair with a coworker. Within 10 minutes, she had him apologizing for not appreciating her mother's cooking at Thanksgiving 2 years ago. The session ended with him feeling guilty and her affair never being addressed. It was manipulation mastery. The conditional love based on benefits is transparent once you see it. When you're providing value, paying bills, giving attention, buying things, you're amazing. The moment you set boundaries, need something yourself, or stop providing at the previous level, you're selfish, changed, not the man I fell in love with. The love was never for you. It was for what you provided. Public sympathy over private honesty is the modern playbook. Every relationship conflict becomes a social media post. Going through so much right now posts that get hundreds of supportive comments while leaving out that so much is consequences for their own actions. They crowdsource validation for their bad behavior, getting strangers to reinforce their delusions. The social media jury always sides with the person telling the story. She posts about feeling unappreciated without mentioning she hasn't contributed to bills in 6 months. Posts about trust issues without issues, mentioning she's the one who cheated. Posts about emotional abuse without mentioning the abuse is him having boundaries. The comment section becomes her validation chamber. Possessiveness without commitment is the ultimate entitlement. They want to control who you see, what you do, where you go, but won't commit to exclusivity. They demand relationship benefits while maintaining single status. They want your loyalty while keeping their options open. It's not a relationship. It's ownership without responsibility. A client was dating someone who refused to be official but lost her mind when she saw him talking to another woman at a coffee shop. She wanted the right to date others while having exclusive access to him. When he pointed out the contradiction, she accused him of not understanding modern relationships. The entitlement to design reality to only benefit them is astounding. The entitled expectation of male responsibility for everything is exhausting. Her bad mood, your job to fix it, her poor choices, your job to handle consequences, her career failures, your fault for not supporting her enough, her family drama. You should have prevented it. Men are held responsible for things they can't control while she takes responsibility for nothing she directly caused. The disrespect toward practical logic is infuriating. Basic facts, documentation, timelines, evidence, all dismissed because they don't align with her emotional narrative. You show receipts proving she's wrong. You're too focused on details. You present evidence. Why are you keeping track? Logic itself becomes the enemy when it threatens. It's their victimhood narrative. I had a case where a woman claimed her boyfriend was financially abusive for not paying her credit card debt. When shown that the debt was from before they met, her response was, "If he really loved me, the timing wouldn't matter." The complete dismissal of factual reality in favor of emotional manipulation is standard operating procedure. Now, the social media dependency for validation has created monsters. Every thought, feeling, and experience needs external validation. They don't know if they're happy until Instagram confirms it. They don't know if they're right until their followers agree. They've outsourced their entire sense of self to strangers on the internet who only know their curated version of events. Weaponizing shame against men who question anything is the default response. Ask why she was out until 4 a.m. You're insecure. Question a suspicious story you're controlling. Want to discuss relationship issues? You're toxic. Every legitimate concern gets reframed as a character flaw. The man becomes the problem for noticing problems. The masculinity attacks are particularly vicious. A real man wouldn't care. A real man would trust me. A real man could handle this. They define manhood as accepting whatever treatment they dish out. Standing up for yourself isn't masculine. It's fragile. Having boundaries isn't strong. It's weak. They redefine strength as submission to their will. The entitlement as driver of conflict pattern is consistent. Every fight, every issue, every problem stems from them believing they deserve something they haven't earned. They deserve trust while being untrustworthy. They deserve loyalty while being disloyal. They deserve respect while being disrespectful. The gap between what they think they deserve and what they've earned creates constant conflict. Here's a perfect example. A woman demanded her boyfriend buy her a car because that's what partners do. She didn't work, didn't contribute to bills, didn't even have a license. But in her mind, being in a relationship entitled her to a vehicle. When he said no, she posted on social media about being with a broke man who doesn't value her. The entitlement to other people's resources is limitless. The emotional terrorism tactics have evolved. They know exactly which buttons to push, which insecurities to exploit, which threats work. Maybe I should find someone who appreciates me. My ex would never treat me this way. I guess you don't really love me. These aren't expressions of feeling. They're emotional weapons designed to break down resistance. The projection game is strong. Whatever they're doing, they accuse you of cheating. You're accused of cheating. Lying, you're the liar. Being controlling, you're controlling. It's so consistent. It's predictable. If she suddenly accuses you of something out of nowhere, check her phone. She's probably doing exactly what she's accusing you of. The paperwork persecution complex is bizarre, but real. Any form, document, or official paper that doesn't send to them becomes an attack. Emergency contact isn't her. Betrayal. Beneficiary on old accounts. Disloyalty. Have an updated Facebook relationship status. Abandonment. They expect to be the center of your administrative universe immediately. A client's girlfriend had a meltdown because his work emergency contact was still his brother after 8 months of dating, not his wife. Girlfriend of 8 months, she called it proof. He wasn't serious about her. The entitlement to immediate primacy in all aspects of life, even bureaucratic paperwork, is insane. The custody weaponization with children is evil. You'll never see your kids again becomes the nuclear option for any conflict. Kids become pawns, tools, weapons. The entitlement to use children as emotional leverage while claiming to be protecting them is sociopathic. They'll traumatize children to win arguments. The false equivalency arguments are exhausting. You watching porn is the same as her having an emotional affair. You forgetting an anniversary is the same as her lying about where she was. You raising your voice is the same as her throwing things. Everything gets flattened to the same level where all wrongs are equal, usually with yours being worse. The revisionist history after breakups is incredible. Suddenly, the relationship was always abusive. Every normal conflict becomes a traumatic event. Every disagreement becomes gaslighting. They rewrite history to make themselves the victim and you the villain, regardless of what actually happened. I know a man whose ex now claims their entire 5-year relationship was abusive. The same relationship she posted about constantly as relationship goals. The same man she begged not to leave. But now that it's over, every memory has been rewritten to support her victim narrative. The entitlement to redesign reality is breathtaking. The support system enabling is part of the problem. Their friends reinforce the delusions. You deserve better. He never deserved you. You're a queen. Nobody asks what she contributed. Nobody questions her story. The echo chamber confirms that yes, she is entitled to everything, while owing nothing. The financial entitlement equivalency arguments are exhausting. You watching porn is the same as her having an emotional affair. You forgetting an anniversary is the same as her lying about where she was. You raising your voice is the same as her throwing things. Everything gets flattened to the same level where all wrongs are equal, usually with yours being worse. The revisionist history after breakups is incredible. Suddenly, the relationship was always abusive. Every normal conflict becomes a traumatic event. Every disagreement becomes gaslighting. They rewrite history to make themselves the victim and you the villain, regardless of what actually happened. I know a man whose ex now claims their entire 5-year relationship was abusive. The same relationship she posted about constantly as relationship goals. The same man she begged not to leave. But now that it's over, every memory has been rewritten to support her victim narrative. The entitlement to redesign reality is breathtaking. The support system enabling is part of the problem. Their friends reinforce the delusions. You deserve better. He never deserved you. You're a queen. Nobody asks what she contributed. Nobody questions her story. The echo chamber confirms that yes, she is entitled to everything while owing nothing. The financial entitlement, the dust, save their life and they'd criticize how you did it. The entitlement to perfection while providing mediocrity is standard operating procedure. The boundary violation as standard practice is exhausting. Your boundaries aren't respected. They're seen as challenges. Don't go through my phone and becomes, what are you hiding? I need space. Becomes, you don't love me. Every boundary is treated as a personal attack on their entitlement to total access. The comparison game never stops. You're constantly compared to everyone else's highlight reel. Her friend's boyfriend bought her flowers. Why don't you? Her sister's husband makes more money. Why don't you? Some guy on TikTok did something romantic. Why don't you? You're not competing with other men. You're competing with an aggregate fantasy of all men's best moments. The emotional labor myth has been weaponized. Everything becomes emotional labor that deserves compensation. Listening to you talk about your day. Emotional labor. Being present in the relationship. Emotional labor. Basic human interaction. Emotional labor. But your actual labor, stress, and sacrifice. That's just expected. The permanence of their feelings versus the flexibility of their commitment is striking. Their feelings are carved in stone and must be honored. But their commitment that's written in sand, subject to change based on mood, opportunity, or convenience. You must honor their emotions while they disregard your investment. The happiness ultimatum is the ultimate entitlement. I'm just not happy becomes justification for any behavior. Cheating, lying, leaving, all justified by the pursuit of happiness. Your happiness irrelevant. The children's stability doesn't matter. The entitlement to happiness at everyone else's expense is peak 2025. The conflict creation for attention is predictable. When things are too peaceful, they create drama. When you're focused on work, suddenly there's a crisis. When you're relaxing, there's an urgent issue. They're entitled to your attention on demand. And they'll manufacture emergencies to get it. The redemption without repentance expectation is wild. They want forgiveness without apology. They want trust without trustworthiness. They want a clean slate without changing behavior. The entitlement to redemption without earning it is standard. That's in the past becomes a magic phrase that's supposed to erase consequences. The selective feminism is hilarious if it wasn't so destructive. Strong and independent when it benefits them, traditional and vulnerable when that benefits them. The ideology changes based on immediate advantage. They want feminist freedoms with traditional male obligations. The reality distortion field they create is impressive. Up becomes down. Wrong becomes right. Their behavior becomes your fault. They create an alternate universe where they're always the hero or victim, never the villain. Anyone who challenges this reality is toxic and must be eliminated from their life. The future faking to maintain control is standard. Promises of change that never come. Commitments made and broken. I'll do better becomes a reset button they hit whenever consequences loom. They're entitled to infinite chances while giving you none. The scorched earth response to boundaries is predictable. Set a boundary. Face nuclear retaliation. Say no once. Become the worst person ever. Stand up for yourself. Lose everything. They're so entitled to compliance that any resistance triggers total war. The motherhood martyrdom complex, even without kids, is bizarre. The potential for motherhood becomes leverage. I'm giving you my best years. My biological clock is ticking. You're wasting my time. The entitlement to your commitment based on their biological timeline is standard manipulation. The retroactive jealousy about your past combined with secrecy about theirs is standard. They need to know every detail about your ex, while theirs is none of your business. They judge you for your history while hiding theirs. The entitlement to your transparency while maintaining their privacy is non-negotiable. The social media prosecutor phenomenon is real. They investigate your online activity like FBI agents, while their own is sacred. Liking a photo from 2015 becomes evidence in a trial you didn't know was happening. But their DMs, that's controlling to ask about. The relationship rewriting in real time is gaslight central. Monday's fight becomes Wednesday's discussion. Last month's cheating becomes a misunderstanding. Last year's lie becomes your misremembering. They're entitled to edit history as needed to maintain their narrative. The exit strategy preparation while demanding commitment is standard. They keep orbiters ready while demanding your loyalty. They maintain backup options while requiring your exclusivity. They prepare for relationship failure while blaming you for not being committed enough. The therapy weaponization is the newest tool. They go to therapy and return with vocabulary to pathize you. You're narcissistic for having boundaries. You're emotionally unavailable for not accepting abuse. You're triggering their trauma by expecting basic respect. Therapy becomes a weapon manufacturer. The generational entitlement is astronomical. They've been raised to believe they deserve everything. Participation trophies became participation relationships. They expect relationship rewards without relationship effort. They're entitled to the benefits of commitment without the obligations. The cognitive dissonance resolution is always in their favor. When their beliefs conflict with reality, reality must be wrong. When their behavior conflicts with their self-image, the behavior didn't happen. They're entitled to internal consistency, even when it requires external insanity. The communication trap is perfectly designed. They demand communication, but reject anything that doesn't validate them. We need to talk means you need to listen to why you're wrong. Be honest means tell me what I want to hear. They're entitled to monologues disguised as dialogues. The resource extraction mindset is pure entitlement. Your time, money, energy, attention, all resources to be mined. What do you get back? The privilege of their presence, maybe some intimacy if you've earned it. The exchange rate is whatever they decide whenever they decide it. The accountability allergy extends to every area of life. Late for dates, traffic's fault, overspending, inflation's fault, relationship problems, your fault. They're entitled to a life without consequences, where every failure has an external cause and every success is their achievement. The Victim Olympics competition is real. They'll compete with anyone for who has it worse. Your bad day at work can't compare to their slight inconvenience. Your health issues pale next to their headache. They're entitled to monopolize sympathy and support while providing none. The strategic incompetence is masterful. Suddenly can't figure out bills when it's time to pay. Don't understand taxes when it's time to file. Can't navigate when it's time to drive, but they're perfectly capable when it benefits them. The entitlement to selective helplessness is a manipulation masterpiece. The emotional vampire behavior drains everyone around them. They feed on drama, conflict, and attention. Peace makes them uncomfortable because it doesn't feed their need for centrality. They're entitled to be the main character in everyone's story, not just their own. The consequences amnesia is convenient. That fight where she threw things never happened. The time she cheated, ancient history. The lies she told. You're holding grudges. They're entitled to a clean slate whenever convenient while keeping detailed records of your every mistake. The professional victim status is their identity. Every story positions them as wronged. Every relationship failed because of the other person. Every job ended because of unfairness. They're entitled to perpetual victimhood that absolves them of any responsibility for their life outcomes. The manipulation mastery has been perfected through practice. Years of getting away with it have honed their skills. They know exactly how to push buttons, when to cry, what threats work. They're entitled to use every tool in the manipulation toolkit while calling you manipulative for having boundaries. The ending is always the same. When you finally have enough, when you finally leave or set ultimate boundaries, you become the villain in their story. They'll tell everyone how you abandoned them, betrayed them, abused them. The entitlement to victimhood is their final card. The solution isn't complicated. Stop accepting it. Stop rewarding it. Stop enabling it. The moment you see entitlement without reciprocity, walk away. The moment accountability is avoided, leave. The moment institutions are weaponized, protect yourself and exit. Men need to understand this isn't all women, but it's enough women that you need to be aware. The patterns are clear, the behaviors are consistent, the entitlement is real. Protect yourself, maintain boundaries, and never apologize for expecting reciprocal effort and accountability. I want to hear from you guys. What entitled behavior have you experienced? What accountability avoidance have you witnessed? What institutional weaponization have you survived? Drop your stories in the comments. Let's document this reality before pointing it out becomes illegal. The entitlement epidemic of 2025 needs to be exposed one story at a time.